Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, we're good. I can hear you. Yeah. How does it sound, Sam? I got a bad crackle in my ears, though. Yeah. Can you hear that or no? You don't hear that? I do. Yeah. Oh, that's better. Yeah. No, I'm good. Welcome into the 2019 Silver and Black Scrimmage presented by Cheerios here tonight at the AT&T Center. I'm Dan Weiss as we get set for the tip-off of the 2019-2020 Spurs basketball season. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We'll have a cast of characters joining me from the Spurs broadcast team. Bill Land, Sean Elliott, Matt Bonner, Bill Schoening, and Paul Castro will all be along tonight. And this is always a fun and informal night for the Spurs and their fans as they get a chance to welcome the fans to the AT&T Center. It's a free event, and they get a chance, of course, to get an opportunity, instead of practicing, to go out and play an actual game. And I'm sure that for most of these guys, you get an opportunity to go out and play a scrimmage rather than do 2 hours or so of Coach Pop on a practice. I'm sure they would much rather enjoy that over the course of an evening. So that is where we are here as we get set to go. And the players are just warming up, and we are going to be set here momentarily. Well, the Spurs last season, of course, finishing with a record of 48-34, losing in a heartbreaker in 7 games in the First round of the Western Conference against the Denver Nuggets.
It's too loud.
As the Spurs were poised to become one of the few number 2 seeds, or number 7 seeds rather, to beat a number 2 seed in the first round of the NBA playoffs. But this Spurs team coming back returns 7 players, or 7 new players from the offseason, and it's a much different offseason from a year ago for the Spurs, who had 11 new players for this game. So a difference, the 7 new players, just 11 new players. You see that consistency, and you see that continued excellence that the Spurs tend to do, and that kind of works out well for them, of course, over the course of the last 20-plus years. Consistency, and that's what the Spurs are going to bank on here this season, as they have brought back the core of their unit from last season's club that won 48 games. So we're just about set to go. Here's how tonight's going to work. 4 10-minute quarters running clock. We'll have 2-minute breaks in between the first and third quarter, and we will have a 3-minute halftime. And I'll give you the rosters here for the silver and black. Team Silver tonight will feature DeJounte Murray along with Bryn Forbes, Jakob Poeltl, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, Damari Carroll, Luka Šamanić, Quindary Weatherspoon, and Dalton Hamas. The Team Black, it'll be Patty Mills, Derek White, Drew Eubanks, Lonnie Walker, Rudy Gay, Marco Bellinelli, Chimezie Metu, and Dedrick Lawson. That's how they will run out in this one here tonight. And again, 4 10-minute quarters of running time. So we'll get going here momentarily. And as broadcasters, we are in mid-season form.
Yes, we are.
As we have finally got our act together up here.
Technical difficulties. I can't decide if the popping in the headset is in the headset or in my head.
No, apparently it's in the headset in your head, but it is not actually going out to the public.
Sometimes I hear things in my head, so
that's true.
Just a little confused.
Sean, welcome back.
Thanks, Dan.
Great to see you.
Good to see you, man. It was only long time no see. I think I saw you yesterday.
Yes, I did see you yesterday at the annual broadcaster meetings as we kick off another season. Sean, I was talking a little bit about the Spurs here, kind of what their MO is going to be going into the 2019-2020 season is really consistency. They've brought back a majority of the core from last year's team. And as you take a look at how the Western Conference and, frankly, the entire NBA went through roster turmoil, if that's the polite way to say it, in the offseason, the Spurs very quietly, very patiently, basically just tinkered and added a few small pieces and are going to try to bring back the same crew to counter everybody else this year.
Well, that's all they really needed to do, Dan. You look at the way we finished last year. You had a chance to be a number 2 seed in Denver on their home court. Probably should have won that game. So it's not like you needed to tinker a lot. And our feeling was if you win that series, you can go ahead and beat Portland. And then, anything can happen in the Western Conference Finals. So you tinker with your team a little bit. You get DeJounte Murray back, who's going to help us tremendously, especially on the defensive end. And so you don't have to tear your team down like a lot of these other ball clubs did, or add all kinds of different pieces. And all of these teams now have to get accustomed to each other. So for us, hopefully, we're going to have an advantage out of the block.
I think that's what the Spurs are certainly counting on. And you mentioned probably their biggest offseason acquisition, who was already on the roster, and DeJounte Murray, who got hurt in the third preseason game last year against Houston. And he has come back. And so far in the preseason, he has looked aggressive. He has shown a lot of the things that we saw early in the preseason last year before he got hurt. You talked about him on the defensive end of the floor. Remember, this was a player who was all-defensive second team as a second-year guy. And I think that makes a massive amount of difference, particularly on the perimeter defensive end, where the Spurs certainly struggled a little bit last year.
No question. And then, consider that he's going to be out there with Derek White a lot, those two guys together, and Derek is a terrific defender as well. So you're going to have a backcourt that's going to be extremely difficult to score on. But not only that, when we lost DeJounte last year, it took an element out of our offense. It took out the open court game because he's a blur in the open court. He's fast, he's good with the basketball, he's athletic, and we missed a lot of that. So that's going to add points. It's going to make the game easier. You're going to see easier buckets for our guys in transition along with the defense that he brings.
Let's talk about the two cornerstones of LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, two guys who averaged over 21 points a season ago. And for DeMar DeRozan, a career-high 6 assists. And it'll be interesting now with DeJounte Murray coming back. DeMar DeRozan was often the creator, the ball distributor when he had the ball in his hand. He doesn't necessarily have to be that this year, and that could certainly open up a new element in DeMar's game.
It takes a lot of pressure off of him for sure to distribute the basketball. And secondly, guys are normally better their second year in the Spurs system. You have so many guys that come here the first year, they try to fit in, they try to be a Spur or play Spur-type basketball, and they forget who they are. We're going to need DeMar to score the ball at a high clip. He's going to have to create mismatches on the offensive end of the floor, create foul trouble for the opposing team, and so it's going to be easy for him to focus on that as opposed to trying to get other people involved.
Well, the Spurs this season are a very great mix of veteran players, guys who've played more than 10 seasons in the NBA, several of those. But then, of course, it's the young athletic Spurs coming up. And one I know you're always excited about, and you're always ready to talk about, is Lonnie Walker, who last season for Lonnie, who spent a majority of the time in the G League, but he did play 17 games with the Spurs. He actually got hurt in this game last year in the silver and black scrimmage. And that kind of got him off to a little bit of a slow start in the NBA career, and I know he's excited about year number 2 and kind of what it brings.
There are a lot of athletes in this league, Dan. He's hyper athletic even for an NBA player. His athleticism jumps out you, it startles you actually. And on top of that, the kid is extremely, extremely talented. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He wants to win. He wants to get better as a player. He says all the right things and he walks the walk. So he's got a lot of intangibles. The sky's the limit for him.
Well, we're just about ready to go. Team Silver tonight, coached by Will Hardy, who was added to the front of the bench this year, and Team Black going to be coached by Becky Hammond tonight. And seem to be missing a coach in all of this who was maybe more the notable off-the-floor acquisition. Where is Tim Duncan tonight?
He's getting sized up for a new suit. Lord knows, whatever Taylor gets a hold of that guy's got his work cut out for him, literally.
So here we go. Team Silver, Jakob Poeltl will jump with Team Black's Drew Eubanks. Eubanks out there with Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, Derek White, and Marco Bellinelli. And for Team Silver, Jakob Poeltl along with DeMar DeRozan, Bryn Forbes, DeJounte Murray, and LaMarcus Aldridge. We're taking your questions tonight on Facebook as well. And we are underway. The Silver and Black scrimmage presented by Cheerios, and it's Patty Mills, who's been playing basketball all summer, fresh off an unbelievable performance in China at the FIBA World Cup, gets the first bucket.
Yeah, they're really going to have to manage his minutes and watch him this year. He's going to need extended rest at some point. There's no way you can put your body through what Patty did and continue to play at a high level.
He's the only Spur who's played in 82 games in each of the last 2 seasons.
Pretty astounding. Especially, Dan, the way he plays, throwing his body all over the place, relentless effort on both ends of the court.
Here's Derek White. Nice pass inside. Marco Bellinelli. Kick out to the wing, and Drew Eubanks squares up. Eubanks, who spent a majority of last season with the Austin Spurs, was second in the league in block shots. DeJounte Murray gives it off to Bryn Forbes. Gets caught in no man's land. He's able to get it to Jakob Poeltl. Return to Murray. He'll draw the foul on Derek White and go to the foul line.
It's nice to see DeJounte out there. See that long step he took early on in the possession? Those are the types of things you look at, especially when you're talking about a guy who's coming back from injury. That long step is where you're really not as stable. Was able to handle that, move fairly well.
DeJounte's last full season 2 years ago, played 81 games, averaged 8 points. Go along with 5 rebounds, 3 assists. You were a player who also missed significant time during a season in your career. How does DeJounte Murray now approach coming back after an extensive injury like he suffered?
The biggest thing for him is going to be between his ears. He's got to forget about the injury. He's got to be able to go out there and play and run and jump. It's got to be second nature for him, Dan. And that's going to take a little while. When you see guys come back from injury, they're not 100% right off the bat. I expect to see the best out of DeJounte somewhere around mid-season.
Rudy Gay was a career-high 40% from downtown last year as he knocks it down. This guy was also pretty good from downtown as Bryn Forbes, who has really cemented himself now here with the Spurs over the last season as not only a key rotation player, but a key starter as well. He started 81 games last year, Sean.
And he said that he worked on his shot, if that's possible. He's already a terrific shooter, as you see or here DeJounte Murray rather knocking down a big shot as well. Bryn Forbes, it's just about confidence for him. He's already got terrific form. He's got a terrific jump shot. If he's right in the head, he's going to be one of the better shooters in this league.
Bryn Forbes last year shot 42% from downtown, was 9th in the league. First touch for DeMar DeRozan, and the putback by Jakob Poeltl wouldn't fall as Drew Eubanks brings it down, gives to Derek White. What a summer for Derek White. Started on the FIBA Select team with Team USA and then eventually made the World Cup roster. Went to China as Patty Mills can't get it to fall. It's amazing to think Derek White, he's only played in 84 NBA games.
It's pretty astounding, huh? A guy who fell through the cracks, slipped through the cracks. It shows you that, scouting isn't really perfect in this league. A guy like that who goes, what will we pick him at, 30th, I want to say?
29th, yeah.
29th in the draft, and the guy who ends up making Team USA. And he does it because he's a terrific defender, and he plays at the right pace.
4 points for Patty Mills is Silver holding a 9-7 lead. Again, 4 10-minute running quarters in this silver and black scrimmage presented by Cheerios tonight. And DeMar DeRozan from the baseline, unable to get it to fall. Rudy Gay. It was a nice bounce-back year for Rudy after the injury.
Yeah.
As he played in a total of 67 games, started 51 of them. As Drew Eubanks knocks down the jumper.
Well, Rudy's a great example of what we were just talking about, coming back from injury. That first year coming back from the Achilles, he wasn't quite 100%. Last year, he was absolutely sensational.
DeJounte Murray attacks and rejected by Eubanks. We mentioned he was pretty good in Austin in that department, averaged 2.5 blocks per game down in the G League with the Austin Spurs.
He's sneaky athletic is what he is.
Second season out of Oregon State.
Dunks on a lot of guys. He's got a terrific jump hook with either hand. It's nice to see him using that athleticism on the defensive end.
DeRozan gets his own rebound. Aldridge for 3. He has shown that early on in the preseason. In fact, he has taken 2 3-pointers in the preseason and has knocked them both down.
That's nice to see. We need a few more threes out of our bigs this year just to help stretch the floor a little bit.
DeRozan around the screen to Bryn Forbes. And Forbes has got his second 3-pointer here of this first quarter. We have a question, Sean, from Zeke on Facebook, and he wants to know what year 2 for DeMar DeRozan looks like for the Spurs.
We talked a little bit about that earlier. And again, with DeJounte Murray coming back, hopefully it takes a little pressure off DeMar to try to get people involved. And he can just do what he does naturally, and that's score the basketball. Obviously, he's got a great in-between game. He's bigger than a lot of people think he is. When you look at him, to me, he's a solid 6'8". And so I'd like to see him in the block a little bit more. As a matter of fact, I did an interview with him on Media Day, and he said that he's worked on his low post game a little bit. I'd like to see him in the low block and start punishing defenders as well. So I think DeMar's cut out for a big year.
As DeJounte Murray gets fouled again, attacking the basket. And so far here in the 2019 preseason, DeJounte Murray, no ill effects from last year's season-ending injury. As he's been able to attack the basket and has looked very smooth doing it, getting inside the paint.
Yes, he has. Every time he goes in there and he's jumping off one leg, landing on the other, that's the type of action you want to see from a guy coming back from a devastating knee injury like he suffered. His confidence is just going to continue to grow.
29th overall pick for the Spurs back in 2016 out of Washington. Technically his 4th NBA season, but really only his 3rd after missing all last year with a torn ACL. Rudy Gay facing up on the Marcus Aldridge. And the rebound tap to Murray, who's equally as good as a rebounder for a guard as well. Turns this one over, and Patty Mills the other way. Puts it off the glass and in. 6 here in the scrimmage for Patty, and it's a 17-11 lead for Team Silver.
Well, you can tell right now, Dan, it's obviously not the most intense scrimmage. A little mistake there by DeJounte, a little nonchalant with the basketball, but not something that Pop is going to jump on these guys for right now. They've been going through a rigorous training camp, a few exhibition games just on the road in Miami the other night, so they're not exactly going through the motions, but they're also not playing this like it's a playoff game. You know what I'm saying?
I was saying at the top of the broadcast, as a player, I'm sure you'd rather play in this 2-hour window as a setting rather than a practice with Coach Pop in the morning.
No question. but you have to know that this is going to be taped as well, and they're going to go through film of this scrimmage probably tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon sometime, and so you're always being watched out there. You don't want to take it too easy.
This match here is Rudy Gay backs his way in on Bryn Forbes and finds the cutting Derek White. Marco Bellinelli open for three. Jakob Poeltl brings down the rebound. Jakob last season averaging 5 points, 5 rebounds in his first year with the Spurs. Coming over from Toronto in the trade along with DeMar DeRozan, and LaMarcus Aldridge with the right hand in the paint.
That's his patented little jump hook, a little running jump hook across the lane. You don't force him toward the baseline, he's going to take middle on you every time.
Marcus, who was 20th in the league in scoring, averaging over 21 points there as Marco Bellinelli knocks it down. And LaMarcus, well, he looked like LaMarcus last season when you talk about his play inside. And well, he, as you would often say, found his man inside the torture chamber. He would go to work more often than not.
Well, you know, Dan, I like big guys that establish themselves outside first. You see Bryn Forbes, again, working on his in-between game. Nice little free throw line jump shot. But, you know, for a big guy in this league, I don't mind big shooting three balls. That's okay. As long as you establish yourself in the low block first and you start to work from the inside out.
And that's the Spurs where LaMarcus has been so effective over the course of his 13-year NBA career, and now going into his 5th season with the Spurs since coming over from Portland. LaMarcus backs his way in here on Derek White. Kick out DeJounte Murray. Murray will try another three. That's looking very smooth from DeJounte Murray. 2 threes here in the first quarter.
What a difference a year makes. I mean, he had a lot of time to work on his game. He could watch our guys, see what our team needed. We talked about it. He needed a little bit more three-point shooting, and DeJounte has definitely put the time in the gym, and it's paying off for him early on.
Timeout taken here. Team Silver up 24-16, and it's been an impressive quarter here for DeJounte Murray in the Silver and Black scrimmage. Sean, we were talking about the turmoil in the NBA this offseason.
Yeah.
Have you seen an offseason as crazy as it was?
Never. No, I've never seen anything like that. And, you know, you talk to the young guys, and I talk to the guys on media day, and, you know, they all seem to enjoy it. You know, they like to see all that player movement. And I think they like that because, you know, a lot of teams are going to take a while to put it together. And our guys have been together a little bit longer, and hopefully we don't have to gel as much as the rest of the team. So, you know, I don't like it from an old school curmudgeon standpoint. I feel like, you know, guys are trying to join up and chase a ring and put together a super team. And, you know, that's fine. That's their prerogative. But, you know, I'm a fan of trying to build a team where guys win and lose together. You go through the growing pains. You know, you don't win one year. Doesn't mean you break the team down or a guy wants to leave. You know, you try it out. You're together 4, 5, 6 years. Okay, if that doesn't work and you've grown together and you're not good enough, well then, yeah, go ahead and start moving around, changing teams. But, I mean, you know, guys are staying with a team for 2 years and then jumping ship and going to another team. What is it? I mean, by the end of it, you're going to have a lot of great players in this league that have played for 5 or 6 teams. Like Durant's on team number 3.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Kyrie's on team number 3.
Kyrie's on team number 3. Paul George.
Team number 3.
He's on his 3rd team.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard's on his 3rd team. I mean, it's pretty bizarre. You know, when you think about my day.
Right.
You know.
Well, Michael only played for 2 teams, and frankly, he really only played for one team.
Larry Bird played for one team. You know,
Magic played for one team.
For one.
Yeah.
Manu played for one.
Tim played for one.
Tim played for one. You know, and you know, I kind of feel that that's the way it should be. You know, it doesn't always have to be that way, but that's ideal.
And one on the three-pointer for Marco Bellinelli as he's fouled. Well, we saw that more often in the NBA last season, guys getting fouled on three-point shots and the four-point play, which used to be so rare back in the 90s and even early 2000s. And now it just seems like it's just normal part of the game now to see the four-point play.
Well, because you're seeing obviously a lot more threes that are being shot, and so a lot more opportunities to foul guys in the process. But, you know, that's a bad foul. You know, it's a bad foul during a scrimmage. It's a bad foul during any type of game. Last thing you want to do is foul a jump shooter taking a difficult shot.
7 points for Marco Bellinelli. Last year, the Spurs averaged 25 threes per game. They were number 1 in the league in three-point efficiency, just under 40%. Would have been only the second time in franchise history that they shot 40% or better as a team from downtown.
Well, you shoot that type of percentage, Dan, you should get more up.
Bryn Forbes fading away. He's got 11 here in this first quarter of the scrimmage. It's a 26-20 lead for Team Silver.
And Bryn's making all kinds of shots, not just a three-point shooter. He's just becoming more of a shot maker. That was fading away to his right. Not an easy attempt.
Nice find by Derek White, and Drew Eubanks able to get it off just before the horn sounds at the end of one. 26-22, Silver over Black. Sean, as always, the pleasure. We'll see you opening night, the 23rd against the Knicks.
Always great to be with you guys.
We'll have a quick little intermission here of
Good luck
2
with
minutes.
Matt. Good luck with Matt.
Yeah,
Bonner.
I know. I don't get that same hardcore analysis from him. Hey, we've got the Spurs Spurscription pass back for a second season. You can attend up to 6 Spurs games for a month for just $49. Subscribe now to the Spurscription pass. New this season is a guaranteed balcony seat. Go to spurs.com/pass for more information. As it's 26-22 Black. Trailing Team Silver here after one. 11 points for Bryn Forbes. Team Silver, 11 points for DeJounte Murray. And Marco Bellinelli has got 7 to lead Team Black. And we've traded out some characters up here in the broadcast booth. Bill Schoening, the radio voice of your Spurs, is up here with me, along with Matt Bonner. We've gone to the Monday Night Football 3-man booth now here, up in the booth.
There's something wrong with my headset.
Yeah, everybody's headset is out of whack.
I sound like RoboCop
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
Okay.
But apparently what the folks are hearing back home is perfect. I mean, you always sound perfect, I would like to say that, but they are hearing perfection.
And that's all that matters.
Right, exactly.
This is a challenge.
This is my first time ever being on air with Philly Billy.
Right.
He's a radio guy. Hopefully I can get a word in.
No, I'm going to be nice and quiet. Let Matt do all the talking here tonight.
Well, guys, welcome back as we get, really this is, I think, the official kickoff of the 2019-2020 Spurs season, the Silver and Black scrimmage here.
Maybe
And
for you guys, but I've already done 2
you've already done 2 games. That's true.
I'm already working and traveling.
You're in mid-season form, Billy.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Spurs last year, of course, 48-34, took the Denver Nuggets, the number 2 seed, to 7 games. And I was talking with Sean, Matt, one of the things that the Spurs have preached so much over the last 20 years is consistency. And in their minds, they felt that consistency was the best way to attack this season by bringing back essentially the core of the team and tinkering around the edges to give it a go against an NBA Western Conference that pretty much flipped its head on its script in the offseason.
Yeah, and a big part of that core is 2 key positions, in my opinion, that have a year of experience in Coach Pop's system that's going to serve them huge coming into this year. And that's DeMar DeRozan and Derek White, 2 key pieces in that starting lineup, who last year was really their first year of playing major minutes as a Spur. So that consistency you're talking about, you should see that carryover coming into this season, building off what they learned, just being comfortable coming into this year.
Well, the 2 new additions for the Spurs by way of free agency and trade in the offseason are in the lineup. Trey Lyles wearing number 41, and Damari Carroll wearing number 77 is in the lineup here right now, along with Chimezi Metu wearing number 7 for Team Black. The substitutes here as we get going in the second quarter.
We haven't seen Trey Lyles yet in the preseason. He's coming over, overcoming a respiratory infection, so he did not play in the first 2 preseason games.
Well, we know what he can do. He's a 3-and-D stretch big. Comes from a great pedigree up in Canada, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan.
Yep.
I think he might be the only player in the NBA from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
That would be a safe bet, Philly Billy.
12th overall
Not
pick.
exactly a hotbed of basketball talent.
A lot of hockey players from there, though.
12th overall by the Utah Jazz back in 2015. Signed
And
as a free
curlers.
agent this summer. There's Lonnie Walker in the game as well, up with the left hand and in.
Yeah, getting to watch Lonnie in training camp, his athleticism finishing at the hoop is just spectacular. I look forward to seeing more of that this season.
Matt, you and I watched Lonnie a lot in Austin last year, and at times he was dominant. He averaged 16.7 rebounds down in the G League, and it was because of that athleticism that he was at a different level than a lot of players down at the G League.
Yeah, and it makes his ceiling that much higher, his potential, if he puts it all together. You got to remember, he's still really young, played 1 year of college, spent most of last year in the G League. is looking to try to crack the rotation and get some experience on the NBA level this year. But he has all the athletic tools to be a great defender. I'm thinking like Eric Bledsoe-esque defender, but even smoother on the offensive end than Eric Bledsoe. His ceiling on the offensive end is high too. He's got a nice looking jump shot, and we just talked about that amazing athleticism finishing to the hoop.
And he's got such a great attitude, Lonnie Walker. He's very active in the community. He's very active in the community back home in Reading, PA, and he's getting more and more opportunities to be active in the community in San Antonio. The young fans really, really love him.
Yeah, he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's humble. He knows it's a process. Look at the hops there by DeMarre Carroll. That was sarcasm, Philly Bills.
11-year veteran.
Fingertip dunk. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Lonnie Walker.
Ooh, nice finish right there. But yeah, Lonnie Walker, huge ceiling, great head on his shoulders. I'm looking forward to see what's to come for him this year.
We saw offense there out of DeMarre Carroll, but he's really kind of known a little bit for his defense too, Bill. Junkyard dog out of the Brooklyn Nets the last 2 seasons.
He's always been tough no matter where he's been. He played at the University of Missouri, and they won him for his toughness, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he knows his role. He knows what he brings to the table. He plays within himself. And he's going to let that thing fly from the three-point line, too.
He took 310 of them last year, shooting 34% from downtown. That leads us actually to our next Facebook questions from Jonathan. He asked, do you think the team will shoot more threes this season or continue focusing on efficiency? Remember, they were #1 in the league at three-point efficiency last year.
Well, one of the things that happened in the Miami game the other night was that the Spurs only took 13 threes. And after the game, assistant coach Becky Hammond says, we got to take a look at that because obviously there's going to be more opportunities. And there you go, right on cue with a guy that's very, very confident right now in his shot, and that is DeJounte Murray. And as you mentioned earlier, Matt, he's had a lot of time to work on his shooting.
Yeah, he did have a lot of time to work on a lot of things, shooting being one of them. We've already seen him make 3 threes, and not from the corners, but from the higher quadrants. Yep. So that's a great sign. Also, LaMarcus Aldridge is taking a few threes in this scrimmage as well. Another guy who's looking to extend his range this year, which could equate to more three-point shots attempted.
Chimezi Metu was attacking with emphaticism, but unable to go. On the other end, DeMar DeRozan fouled, attacking the basket.
I would imagine that Bryn Forbes will be the guy that will shoot the most threes in the team, especially if he continues to start in that starting lineup. And he really brings them a lot of confidence on the outside shot. He shot 42% from three-point range last year, Matt. And I've seen him the first 2 preseason games. Didn't have a great game at Miami, but he had a marvelous game against Orlando. And we're seeing him here tonight. The way he is shooting with such confidence is really going to be a big factor, I think, for the Spurs this season.
I think so, too. And it's that confidence that's going to get him over that mental hump to assert himself in the offense and step up and take shots that maybe he wouldn't have taken in the last couple years because he has to in order for the Spurs to be a good offensive team. If he has a crack, he's got to let that thing fly and understand he's probably the best shooter on the team, and that's how he helps them.
Marco Bellinelli unable to hit from the corner. Bryn career highs across the board last year in every statistical category, and 176 three-pointers there as that one rims out.
I mean, that was 2 or 3 feet behind the three-point line in transition off the dribble with a hand in his face, but he's open. He's got to let that fly.
And another aspect I think we're seeing of Bryn's game, too, is the dribble, the shot off the dribble in 2-point range where he pulls up for a mid-range jumper. Has a lot of confidence in that as well.
Yeah, we actually demoed it last year.
Yeah.
His footwork on his shot is amazing. His ability to get to a spot, get his feet down 1-2 step on balance and into a shot is great.
I talked to Tom Izzo last year during the playoffs as Michigan State coach. He came to one of the playoff games in Denver, and I asked him about Bryn, and he said one of the hardest workers I've ever had, and obviously a self-made player because nobody expected him to do the types of things he's doing in the NBA. He was undrafted. He started out at Cleveland State and then went to Michigan State, and we know the rest. He's in his 4th year, and he's just getting better and better every year.
The most amazing thing for him last year, he started 81 games. 81 games as a starter, undrafted player. And a lot of it, of course, was by necessity with the injuries in the beginning of the season. DeJounte Murray and Derek White. Bryn Forbes basically became the point guard by default because Pop had nobody else, essentially, to bring the ball up. Now, granted, DeMar DeRozan eventually almost was the de facto point guard in a lot of situations. That's why he had a career-high 6 assists last year.
I got a ton of respect for guys like Bryn Forbes who take advantage of their opportunity. I always tell young players, at some point, someone's going to get injured or ejected, foul trouble. You never know. You're going to get your shot, and you got to be ready to make the most of it, and that's what Bryn did last year.
And I think, Dan, it's also a great example of how the Spurs use the G League.
Yeah.
We saw DeJounte Murray get a lot of experience in the G League before he came up and played significant minutes with the Spurs. Derek White Bryn Forbes. These guys are getting more and more time. And this year, of course, with all the young players like Keldon Johnson, Lucas Shamanich, Quindary Weatherspoon, those are guys more than likely that will spend some time in the G League honing their craft before they get their opportunity here with the parent club.
Especially with the depth on this team this year, a great mix of veterans, middle-aged. Is that what you call a mid-aged veteran? Middle-aged guys and young. I like the mix this year.
In the timeout, Coach Pop has walked over to the Team Black bench. He's sitting in the background there as we see Becky Hammond in the huddle coaching Team Black. Will Hardy coaching Team Silver.
Assistant coach Tim Duncan is there on the Becky side.
With no sleeves as usual.
And the Spurs...
doesn't he have to wear a sport coat on the sidelines? What's up with
on
that?
this scrimmage, I think there's no dress code tonight.
I almost wore a Hawaiian shirt myself.
Well, Will Harding and Tim Duncan added as assistants. Well, Mitch Johnson was added as well.
And Mitch Johnson knows the system very well, spent the last several years with the Austin Spurs. And I had a chance to visit with Mitch before the preseason opener against Orlando. I look forward to working with that guy. Very, very bright basketball mind.
Yeah, and a nice guy. And to your point, high basketball IQ. Knows what he's doing.
So it's a 6-point lead for Silver here, midway through quarter number 2. Pump fake from DeMar DeRozan as he gets to his favorite spot there. Now we'll take it inside. Kicks it out to Murray. Close out by Patty Mills. Murray backs his way in. That's that athleticism from DeJounte Murray and the strength as well. You could see that also has increased over the last couple years.
Absolutely.
Chimezie Metu. A throwdown from the right hand.
I want to talk about Chimezie for a minute. You saw in that last play, he switched on to DeMar DeRozan, who ISO'd him, and he kept him in front. Chimezie has the athleticism, length, and ability to be one of those fours who you can switch pick and rolls, he can guard multiple positions, and then use his athleticism on the other end to finish with dunks like we just saw in that alley-oop.
Offensive rebound for Rudy Gay. Unable to put it back in, and DeJounte Murray out of the pack. And there's DeJounte pushing the pace, and Lonnie Walker reaches in, commits the foul. Two of the fastest guys on the team right there.
No question. We're talking about Chimezie Metu. He got a chance to play this summer for the Nigerian national team. So he got some experience with international ball as well.
Yeah, and he had that one dunk on the Chinese team. I don't know if you saw it. If anyone listening, if you did not see this dunk, YouTube Chimezie Metu dunk on the Chinese team. Unbelievable. Just ended both of their careers, I think, in that one play.
Speaking of things that are going to be coming to a digital home near you, Matt Bonner and I are working on a little project that we are going to unveil coming up here in week number 1 of the season. And let's just say you are going to want to stay tuned to see what we do, because it is going to be very entertaining. I will leave it at that.
That's a great description, entertaining. That's what it's all about. We want to entertain Spurs fans, not just here in San Antonio, but at all corners of the world, because it's an international team, and that's going to be our goal with this project.
Well, those of us who have been around for a while and have seen you get involved with social media, remember Coach B and the Sandwich Hunter. So this will be even, you're going to take it up another level with this project coming up?
Yep, we're ratcheting up another level.
So you want to stay tuned to Spurs.com and the Spurs app coming up. First week of the season, Matt Bonner and myself have got something in the works that I think you're going to enjoy.
I don't even think Dan knows what to expect.
don't.
No. He's just riding your coattails,
Yep,
Matty.
they gave me creative control, and I'm going to make the most
that's really
of it.
scary.
It is scary. If I don't have a job by the end of the season, you'll know why.
Lonnie Walker unable to finish inside on LaMarcus Aldridge. There's Bryn Forbes pushing the pace. And DeMar DeRozan, the recipient from his former teammate, new teammate once again, Damari Carroll, and DeRozan in with the flush.
Still has the athleticism, which is amazing, given the mileage on that guy.
Damari Carroll and DeMar DeRozan played 2 seasons together in Toronto. And they got a history. Rudy Gay as well played with Damari. So you can certainly show him the ways of the Spurs and corporate knowledge and everything else that goes along playing here in San Antonio.
You know, Matt, it's often been talked about how in the second year in the Spurs program, guys have a lot more comfort. They feel like they know what they're doing a little bit more, and we usually see an uptick in production.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of the Spurs system, you don't want to be out there thinking about, am I in the right spot? Where do I need to go? You just want to be able to react and play. And that intuitive ability to thrive within the offense takes some time to develop, and especially going into that second year. I mentioned Derek White and DeMar DeRozan. I think we're going to see a lot more comfort out there for those two.
And you talk about a guy increasing production. He averaged over 21 a game last season. So, I mean, it's not like he had an off year by any stretch of the imagination. He set a career high with over 6 assists. He shot 48% from the field. It was a great year for DeMar DeRozan.
He absolutely did. But I think in terms of his comfort level and the different things that he could do, we mentioned the fact that he led the team in assists with 6 of them. But he also, I think, might be able to assume more of a team leadership role because he'll feel more comfortable in that role now that it's his second year in the program.
Exactly, especially if, like Dan mentioned, he's going to be doing some secondary ball handling. You got to be able to get guys in the right spots, and understanding the offense and where everyone needs to be is going to come in handy.
Final minute of this first half, 41-37. Team Silver with the lead. Patty Mills.
Patty Mills had an MVP offseason.
He got married.
Got married.
That was
Team USA.
On and off the floor.
Yeah. Had put it up an unbelievable performance in the World Cup.
Patty was 4th in World Cup scoring, averaged almost 23 a game.
And he did some great stuff off the floor, too, guys, with that water initiative that he started in the indigenous areas of Australia, bringing water to people that desperately need it and bringing awareness to those villages. I mean, he did some amazing humanitarian things during the offseason.
Yeah, Patty really immerses himself in the culture and the community wherever he's playing, whether it's back home in Australia or here in San Antonio. There's a reason. I mean, you'll find out when we did the media day interviews, I was trying to push him to run for president of Australia. It's actually Prime Minister, he corrected me.
Yes. Patty knocks down the 3. He's
As
got
if on
9.
cue right there.
I've just been handed an alert that you are both staying with me till the middle of the third quarter, so I don't know if you put in your overtime yet on this one.
I already used all my lines.
Trey Lyles. As the Heat won't fall before halftime, and it's 44-40. Team Silver over Team Black. We're going to have a quick 3-minute halftime here so you don't get the entire halftime experience, so we'll keep things right here.
So we won't have quick change or the Red
Panda. Red Panda won't be here.
We had the Red Rocket instead of the Red Panda.
That's what we got.
Look, I'm not trying to shamelessly plug the sponsor of this open scrimmage, but is anyone else craving Cheerios? I haven't had a bowl of Cheerios in years, and I used to like cutting up and putting bananas in them.
I give Cheerios to my son every morning.
Really?
It's Cheerios every morning. So
we've done Honey Nut Cheerios, but just not
good.
Plain Cheerios. There's too many flavors now.
Let me get in a quick sponsor here. Check out the Spurs 2019-2020 promotion schedule. It includes player bobbleheads, theme nights, drink specials, and much more. For more information, go to spurs.com/ticket promotions.
Are those supposed to be giant Cheerios? Can whoever's watching this see what we're seeing right now?
Have you ever done this, Matt?
No, but this year it's happening. Doing this, doing the HEB beach ball catch. And I think there's one other, the Whataburger fry toss.
Hey, let's break down that HEB catch, by the way, the ball catch.
Yep.
Too many guys, I think, try to get to the trash can and not complete the catch like the NFL when guys run down the field before they secure the ball. Is that the number one thing that you see, the mistakes that guys make when they're trying to catch the ball?
No, the number one mistake is you go for the $25 white HEB ball when you can see him getting ready to throw like the 250 one. Forget the white one, go for the 250. You'd have to catch 10 white balls to equal the one black $250 one.
Do you know that it's coming, though? Can you see it kind of coming over the edge there?
If you look up in the rafters, you can see where they're dropping, and you can see what the next ball is going to be. And if you see it's the striped one or the black one, whatever's in your hand, abandon ship and go for that one. It's about efficiency.
I think sometimes the wind currents
it's
in
the
this arena,
analytics.
too,
It's the
make it
analytics
difficult.
of the HEB beach ball catch.
Is there a certain way the wind shifts, though, where you got to make sure it's like catching a
so
pop up in the sun?
If it was me, I'd go to the building's operations manager, tell him to make sure he shuts off all the vents in the AC so it's not blowing around and curving in the air. You see that where it like drops over here and then ends up on the other side of the court and they can't catch it.
It's like a wicked curveball.
Wicked curveball.
Yeah, through the wicked in there.
Listen,
that's Matt's language.
I've had 14 years to think about this beach ball toss, and when I get my chance, I'm gonna set a record. Mark my words.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be walking out of HEB with filet mignon.
We're going to pull up this tape 5 years from now when you actually get a chance to do this, when your broadcasting career is over.
Hey, guys, back to basketball for just a second. Lucas Shamanich is going to see his first action along with Keldon Johnson. What have you seen, Matt, so far from the young guy from Croatia, and also Keldon Johnson, the rookie from Kentucky.
Keldon Johnson, an animal, especially on the defensive end. He plays extremely hard, uses you can see his size and physicality, definitely knows how to use that to his advantage on the defensive end. Still working on polishing up his offense. I mean, both these guys are really young. They got a million miles to go to reach their potential, but they're in the right program to do it. And same thing with Luka. You look at his size and length and how smooth he is with the ball and his skill set. But again, young, has to learn how to play the right way and work the right way. But I think they can do it.
He's already gained about 10 pounds since
That's
he's been
what he
here.
said, yeah.
That's 10 pounds
Already?
of good muscle, yeah.
Well, we've had
Must be all that Whataburger.
Well, we've had a couple of trades here at halftime, guys. Bryn Forbes and Patty Mills have been traded for one another.
Oh, wow.
Jakob Poeltl and Rudy Gay have been traded for one another.
Straight up?
And yes, straight up. And Drew Eubanks and Dalton Holmes have been traded for one another as well here at halftime. So Becky Hammond, Will Hardy pulling off the moves at halftime as we get underway in the second half. Here's Damari Carroll inside. Leaves it short there on Marco Bellinelli. I have a question from Ty on Facebook. I'll start with you, Bill. What will be the strengths of this year's team?
I think the fact that so many guys are returning, there's that corporate knowledge that Pop talks about all the time. And as Matt mentioned earlier, the second year for Derek White and DeMar DeRozan, guys that figure to have the ball in their hands an awful lot. And that guy that just made the basket there, Trey Lyles, he may very well be an X factor, Matt, because we haven't seen him yet. He fell out of the rotation with Denver last year, but he's only 24 years of age. I think he turns 24 next month. So he still has a lot of basketball in front of him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think there's several guys on the team that could step up and be unexpected X factors as the season goes on. I think the strength of this team is the team. I think you got a group of high character guys who want to and know how to play together. And that's how the Spurs always do it, right? They never individually out-talent their opponent. They do it together, and they're the better team, and that's how they're going to be successful
and
this
who
year.
all like each other, who all like hanging out on the road. We saw that last year with the Coffee Gang group and everything else. I mean, this is a group that is close-knit, wherever they are. That's, as you know, Matt, goes a long way during the course of an 82-game season.
The more you can have close relationships and trust each other off the court, the more it translates onto the court, for sure.
Bryn Forbes has 15 points in this scrimmage, one behind DeJounte Murray, who has 16. They had 29 of Team Silver's 44 points in the first half.
We're talking about some of the younger guys. That was Quindary Weatherspoon who just made that basket.
Number 15.
Can't believe they let that number go.
You got to watch the media day interview. I grilled him on that. Don't worry.
But I saw some very good things from him in the Miami game the other night, and he's a second-round draft pick out of Mississippi State. And I think he's got a bright future. He's a really good-looking player.
Yeah, he played all 4 years. And his college career mirrored mine when I looked at it. You start out and you got a little bit better each year, culminating with a first-team All-SEC selection as a senior. I was the same way. I started out at Florida. I played 15 minutes a game and worked my way up. And when you play all 4 years in a league like the SEC, it seasons, and a lot of that player development that we're seeing Luka and some of these younger guys go through now, they've already gone through, and they're already a step ahead in that regard.
Quindary was back-to-back best male basketball player in Mississippi. I'm guessing you were best male basketball player in the state of New Hampshire. Did they give that away?
By default. I was like the only player above 6'2", so it made it a lot easier.
48-46 Silver with the lead here early on in the second half. Dan Weiss along with Bill Schoening and Matt Bonner here on this Silver and Black Scrimmage, the 2019 edition tonight, presented by Cheerios. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live, whether you're watching on Spurs.com or the Spurs app. Spurs will continue the preseason once again back here at home as they will host Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans coming up this weekend, guys. Our first look at Zion, who, by the way, had 26 points last night against Chicago.
On, 12 of 13 from the floor?
29 points.
29 points.
And it was all layups and dunks.
He's quite an athlete, though.
Yeah, I would say so.
In the open court, who's going to get in front of him, take a charge?
You just need a couple people to sacrifice themselves.
But he's a good, 280, 285?
I don't know. His size and athleticism is unbelievable.
And we're just talking
17
about
points for Bryn Forbes.
Yeah, the way he's coming off the dribble there, Matt, you talked about his perfect form.
His footwork.
His footwork, and he's really got textbook form on that jump shot. And I mean, just everything he does the way he pulls up, and it's going to be tough to stop because he's so good off that dribble.
Yeah, and we saw last year he has a plan B to the hoop now. And he can finish with a floater, and you've seen him bulk up and get stronger. He's pretty athletic. He can go to the rack and finish strong to the hoop or with that floater as well.
There's Luka Šamanić on the wing as he knocks it down. Šamanić, 6'11", 225 out of Croatia, played in the Slovenian League, one of 4 Croatian players drafted in the first round in the history of the NBA. I'll take a guess at the other 3, Matt?
The other 3
Croatian
Croatians?
players drafted in the first round.
Sharunas Marshalunas?
No, that's incorrect.
He's Lithuanian.
Oh, dang it.
You got to get your Croatians
Vlade
correct.
Divac?
Yeah.
One of the Bogdanoviches is from Croatia.
Yes, but he actually represents Slovenia, I'm told. Or not Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, even though,
Oh, okay.
What
yeah,
about,
that's what it was.
Bill Schoeningvich.
Mario Hezonja,
Hezonja. What about
Dario Saric.
Dario Saric, right?
Yeah, one more. Plays for Cleveland.
Okay. Got to think about Ante Zizic.
That is correct. Good
That's
job,
not who I
Bill
was thinking
Schoening.
of.
All right, fellas, your time is up.
No.
Yes, we were having so much fun. I know. But
were
Bill
having
Land wants to
fun.
put on the microphone.
I
for Paul
forgot
Castro.
we were working.
That's when you know you're having a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
been a
thanks for
pleasure,
having
guys.
us.
We'll see you here coming up. Well, Bill, you're working again on Saturday, so
I'll be or Sunday.
Sunday. That's right. Yeah.
Pelicans 3 o'clock tip.
All right, tune in.
Bill Schoening and Matt Bonner. As the Spurs 51-48, Silver with the lead as we roll along here. The Silver and Black Scrimmage, the 2019 edition. As Quindary Weatherspoon unable to control the basketball. Right now, Silver with Quindary Weatherspoon out there with Luka Šamanić, Keldon Johnson, Drew Eubanks, and Damari Carroll for Team Black. Marco Bellinelli, Trey Lyles, Derek White, Bryn Forbes, and Jakob Poeltl. And as we get to the third round of broadcasters, we welcome in Bill Land, the television voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Billy, how are you? Good to see you.
It's good to be back, Dan. Rotating announcers, fun night here, right?
And do you have the working microphone that doesn't crackle in your ear? Or?
It's crackling. Yeah. Even though you're sitting right next to me, it sounds like when you used to have to make a phone call to a foreign country about 15 years ago. You just hoped you could make out what the other person is saying. But hopefully people are getting a little bit better reception in their ears than I'm getting.
And riding shotgun next to Bill Land, Paul Castro.
I can
Paul
barely
Pugno
hear you.
Castro.
I
Yeah.
can barely hear you. Sorry, guys.
Spanish
There he
radio
goes,
voice here,
Matt.
San Antonio Spurs. We get a timeout here on the floor with 3:13 remaining in the third quarter, and it's a 1-point lead. Spurs opening night coming up on October 23rd against the New York Knicks at 7:30. Post-game concert in the Bud Light Courtyard with Kevin Fowler. Should be a lot of fun. Go to Spurs.com or the Spurs app to get your tickets today. And guys, here we go. 2019-2020 season just around the corner. And as we've talked with Sean Elliott, as we've talked with Matt Bonner and Bill Schoening for the Spurs, it's a lot about consistency. And last year's team and what we see in year 2 from guys like DeMar DeRozan, Derek White after his big season, and then, of course, from DeJounte Murray. And if we're getting any indication of what we've seen here in the first 3 quarters of this Silver and Black Scrimmage, looks like it's going to be a pretty promising year, Bill, for DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, he's been very impressive. And Paul and I were just talking about some of the things you guys are mentioning about. You look at DeMar and had a terrific year last year, but think about how much more comfortable he's going to be this season. And when you also bring in Rudy Gay coming back, who finally had an off season where he didn't have to recuperate from an injury, and you add that with every guy that comes White and the experience that he got, and then you look around the league and you see all these teams that have had a lot of change. Hopefully, it gives our guys a little bit of a bump early in the season that, yeah, we've added some guys, but we should be the team that should be a little bit more consistent from the get-go, I think, Paul.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing you have to remember, too many people are panicking. It's preseason, a couple of games. these guys haven't played
Who's
together.
panicking? Who's panicking?
Well, everything, right. But the whole thing is, I think it was time. It's a transition time. You know, when Manu, Tim, and Tony back in the day when they got here, transition time. And I like what we have. I mean, the combination of athleticism, youth, veterans, coaching, I think is going to help us a lot, especially with Tim on the bench too.
Yeah. Looks like he can play, by the way.
Our next Facebook question coming from Taylor. I got an answer to this one, but I'd love to get your guys' thoughts. He wants to know, who do you see having a breakout year this year?
What'd the other guy say?
It wasn't
Whatever
their, wasn't their
Sean said.
question.
Whatever Sean said.
Whatever Sean said, just repeat it,
Right, exactly. Well, you know what he said, if that was his question.
Lonnie
Yeah,
Walker.
of course.
Yeah, I mean, he's the president of the Lonnie Walker fan club. And that's going to be a club, I think, that's going to have a lot of members in it this year.
That's my choice.
I'm just trying to think of who I would put down top three. I would say Lonnie. It's not fair to say DeJounte, but in a way it is, because he didn't play for a year. And like you mentioned, if he shoots the ball the way he has, be amazing. And also, Derek White, I think, certainly has another level that he can go to.
I agree. I think Derek's going to be really good this year. He had all that experience last year in the summer, and now this.
Yeah, his summer experience, I think, has just been phenomenal for him.
And I think based on the way that Derek ended last season with that 36-point game in Game 3 against Denver, and of course the massive dunk in Game number 1, we forget he has only played 84 NBA games in his career.
Yeah, and no matter what guys show you in practice or athleticism and this and that, until they do it in games, and in particularly here in San Antonio, everything's measured by championships, so it comes down to, what have you done in the playoffs for me? And I don't think you can put a level of price tag, if you will, on what White gained out of that playoff series last year. I mean,
right.
It was amazing to watch him.
I think another guy, too, again, watching tonight, I know Bryn Forbes had a breakout year last year, but I think it might even be to another level potentially here this season as well. Now that he's got the confidence, knowing that he belongs, knowing that he's a starter after starting 81 games last year, that confidence is so important. You know what Sean talks about it all the time, what's in between your ears. And Bryn certainly has that right now.
Yeah, well, remember last year, Paul, how much he talked about, or he didn't talk about, but it was noticeable, his weight gain and his strength, particularly. And then that transformed into his confidence. And I think that you're right, Dan. I think that the more he plays, he's not hesitating at all in what we've seen in the preseason games and in the scrimmage tonight. And then I think that it's one thing to say you're more confident. It's another to actually show it, which to me, he's showing that already this year.
Good ball movement from the Spurs. Dalton Holmes loses possession. Rudy Gay will take it away. Closing seconds here of quarter number 3. A 3-point lead for Team Silver. All right, Holmes, let's see what you got here on Rudy Gay.
Yeah, shut him down. He created the turnover.
Marco Bellinelli throws it away right back. 5 seconds.
Go for the 3. Go for the 3. Oh, here we go.
They put it up there for DeJounte Murray. And that's how quarter number 3 will come to an end with a 3-point lead for Team Silver. 56-53. It's been a big night here for DeJounte Murray and Bryn Forbes. Forbes has got 17. Marco Bellinelli, 12 for Team Black. DeJounte Murray, 16 points, all coming in the first half. Well, the Spurs subscription pass back for year number 2. You can attend up to 6 Spurs games a month for just $49. Subscribe now to the Spurs subscription pass. And new this season, a guaranteed balcony seat in that Spurs subscription pass. Go to spurs.com/pass for more information. Opening night, guys, coming up on the 23rd. And talking about the teams that have changed so much, the New York Knicks are basically going to roll off 10, 11 brand new players on opening night, Bill?
Yeah, definitely is. You'll bring a program for that night, right? As far as what to expect with the Knicks. Kind of nice to open up, though, with that ball club. Looking forward to seeing R.J. Barrett.
Yeah.
Some of the, I don't think the Knicks are going to be a playoff team, but they do have some pretty good young players. And I think what they tried to do in that offseason is setting that up. Whether or not they can follow through in the next couple of years. But as Spurs fans know, the Spurs have laid an egg in New York enough. There's no reason to be overconfident in that one, right, Paul?
That's right. One of the worst games of the year, no doubt. If not the worst game of the year.
I've apologized for bringing it up. It's supposed to be a positive
No,
night.
that's fine. That's fine. It's only the truth.
Yeah.
But opening night is going to be really special because I think we have to win all the home games no matter what. Because the West is so tough.
Well, yeah, and particularly in the Spurs last year had that phenomenal home record, struggled on a bit on the road, but I don't know why, but I just feel that maybe it's the togetherness of this team, some of the consistency of the returning players, that I think this team's going to be a much better road team, and the West is going to be, it's like the Tom Death March, but I just feel I'm confident in this ball club. I think they got great chemistry.
Meanwhile, the Spurs will host the New Orleans Pelicans here, preseason game number 3 on Sunday. And I'll tell you what, if you want to see Zion Williamson, you better come out Sunday because he's not coming back here until April. The Spurs' 2 home games in the month are against New Orleans are in the month of April. In fact, they won't play him, Bill, until January.
That's
which is
amazing,
one of the oddities in the schedule this year. They also won't have a rematch with the Nuggets until February from last year's playoff series.
The whole NBA schedule is just crazy every year. You look at that, and it's not just us here in San Antonio. Everybody, you start talking to other guys around the league, and they're going, why do we play one team 4 times within the first 6 weeks of the season, and then we're done? I mean, but but I tell you what, it's so much better than it used to be with the way they have reduced the back-to-backs. Sure. And the travel and all that, spread things out. It's really helped quality of play, and it's helped players play more instead of the nights of rest that we have seen.
Yeah, plus they won't get fined for resting people.
Right, exactly.
As load management has become part of every broadcaster's vernacular here. DeJounte Murray, as he finds Rudy Gay over Trey Lyles, left it short. Rudy gets his own rebound. Rudy looks fresh, he looks confident, and after last season's 69 games, he looks like the old Rudy Gay from Sacramento, Bill.
Yeah, and I think he had a career-high three-point percentage last year. Because, the Spurs led the league in three-point percentage, but also had the fewest attempts. I think we're going to see that increase this year. We've seen LaMarcus, and we know he's capable. He's knocked down a couple. We already talked about Murray. And I think Rudy Gay is going to get more opportunities in that area.
I was watching the Pelicans-Hawks game, one of the first preseason games, a combined 82 three-point attempts between those 2 teams.
We were talking about that before we came on the air with you, but the whole thing is everybody wants to be like now the new Warriors. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Let's find out who's going to be the new Warriors team.
Well, the league is, call it analytics, call it common sense. They figured out you get an extra point when you shoot from behind that line. And it's got to be a big part of your game. There's Chimezie Metu throwing one. It looked like he knew what he was doing.
And the amazing thing now is that guys aren't even stepping up to the line to take threes. They're 5-10 feet behind the line taking those shots, which is really making a big deal in terms of, and now this goes into a little bit more deeper analytics, but that tends to not only pull your defense out, but when you miss, you get those long rebounds that come out.
Right.
You get the extra possession.
Yeah. And sometimes that long rebound ends up leading to a transition game the other way, which affects all the numbers that we end up talking about too. And Pop has been such a bear about transition D. Anytime I've asked Pop in the 15 years I've been here, and I quit asking because I know the answer. What are the keys to tonight's game? Transition D. And this year he's already been on his guys in the preseason about, hey, it's got to be a priority, fellas. And sometimes you just can't help it because of the three-point shot and the crazy rebounds. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Will Hardy pulls the Pop line change with Team Silver here as he puts 5 new guys out there. It's Quindary Weatherspoon, Keldon Johnson, Luka Šamanić, Drew Eubanks, and Damari Carroll out on the floor here. Team Black, Chimezie Metu, Dalton Holmes, Marco Bellinelli, Dedrick Lawson out of the University of Kansas, and Derek White. 7 minutes remaining here in the silver and black scrimmage.
My guy Eubanks, Oregon State. Go, baby. Just a little plug, just a little plug.
Oh, Chimezi Metu. And the feed from Dedrick Lawson there has got 8 points.
You know, we were talking, Paul and I, about Chimezi Metu. Here's another guy that played for Nigeria in the World Cup, got valuable experience. And I know this is scrimmage, but he looks stronger, a little bit more fit, if that could be possible, and just more confident off of his summer play.
14 points, 7 rebounds in 26 games last year down with the Austin Spurs in the G League. And can't finish this pass from Dalton Holmes, but he'll earn a trip to the foul line after getting fouled by Šamanić down low. And Lukas Šamanić, of course, the Spurs' first pick in the first round, at 2 at 19 and 29 this year. And for Šamanić, the Austin Spurs is really going to be his foundation this year in terms of getting minutes and learning the North American style and the pro game, how it's played on this side of the pond, Bill.
Yeah, and just take a picture of him, folks, because he's going to get stronger. He's just going to learn the ways of the league. And, in fact, our Austin viewers, you want to take in those Austin Spurs because Šamanić, as well as Johnson, Witherspoon, I'm sure are all going to see considerable action up there.
That's going to be a good team.
And they're very talented.
Yeah, and very young,
Look at that.
too. I mean, 19 years old, and you're in the NBA, and he's going to be a stud. I can tell you that what I was seeing before he got here and all those videos we get and stuff, let me tell you, that guy has skills. He has that, what I call natural ability.
Yeah. Well, you watch his combine videos, the athleticism, the verticality is
kind of like me
through
when
the
I was
roof.
younger.
Yeah, just like you. That's
When I was
what I
younger,
think about.
when
I
I was
see
19.
I see Šamanić, I say Publi. Absolutely.
You know, I didn't see that, but now that you're bringing it up, I still don't see it.
But I like him. I think he's going to be great. He's going to be one of those great findings that Spurs have done in the past.
Meanwhile, the guy with the ball, Keldon Johnson, from a program at the University of Kentucky, who, of course, has a lot more notoriety when it comes to college basketball. But, you know, Keldon Johnson is the type of player where I was watching him at Kentucky, it was always about his motor. He was always going, was on the offensive end, defensive end of the floor. The guy never stopped, and that hustle is what can endear you to Coach Pop early on in your career.
Yeah, I think when they drafted these guys, that's what I took, is that you always know with the Spurs, and that's one of the great things of the continuity they've had with Pop and RC and all the people that have been around here, that they know what they're looking for. Their scouts know what they're looking for. And it comes down to, everybody wants talent, but it's like, is the guy a fit for this team? You know, and that's what excites me about all three of those guys. Coaches have talked about, hey, they're all fits for what San Antonio wants to do.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of scouts or general managers or owners, all they want is the one guy that can dunk, shoot threes. But here, you have to have a combination of everything that Pop is looking for, or else if you don't make that list, you're not here.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys that we've seen in the past, most of them have fit. Very few have not fit here before.
Well, let's see which group wants us a little bit more here. 3.5 to go. We're tied up at 62.
Let's pull for overtime, right? Free basketball.
Yeah, more airtime for us.
Fans would certainly want that here. Chimezi Metu as he attacks Drew Eubanks. Nice little spin move up with the right hand. 11 points for the second-year forward out of the University of Southern California. Amari Carroll around the Eubanks screen. Carroll as he bounces off Derek White, and will go to the foul line to try to complete the three-point play.
He's good at that. He's good at making the contact game continuation of the basket.
And another guy that I've always looked at over the years, he's played with several teams, but everybody's always, when he's left, they go, man, I wish we had him back. He's just one of those guys that has been a good fit a lot of places, and obviously with his defensive ability and his shooting ability, and then just his basketball IQ and the veteran play that he's presented, he's going to be a fit here.
This is his 8th NBA team, having played for Memphis, Houston, Denver, Utah, Atlanta, Toronto, and most recently Brooklyn over the last 2 seasons. Hamas wide open for three. That is the Division II Player of the Year last season, Dalton Hamas from Point Loma Nazarene College in California.
He was the first guy on the floor tonight as fans were just coming in. And I'm sure it's one of the fun things about tonight is the fans get a chance. Many times these are folks that don't get here very often, and you may not understand how often and how much time these guys put into preparing. He's draining out there three after three after three after three. You just realize how talented all these guys are, whether they end up making this club or not.
Chimezi Metu puts back the Derek White miss. 3-point lead for Team Black, 90 seconds to play. Shamanich wide open for three. Got it. 8 points for Lucas Shamanich. A couple of three-pointers. Back to a tie game, 69 apiece. Marco Bellinelli unties it.
Speaking of Marco is in such great shape. You know what I mean? I think this is the best shape I've seen him in years. Not that he wasn't before. I'm just saying that even though he's getting older, for being in that kind of shape, playing all those extra games, I'm not sure what kind of diet he had with him or if he had a weight guy with him or what, but he looks really good.
On his 13th season out of Italy.
And he had a productive World Cup for
did.
Italy. I think he averaged around 15 a game for them.
2-point lead for Team Black, 50 seconds to play. Metu faces up on Eubanks.
Come on,
nice
Eubanks.
spin to the inside. Wide open in the corner. Hamas for three.
Yeah.
What a pass to set up the shot. Didn't see that coming out of Chimezi.
Dalton Hamas has hit 2 big shots here in the last couple of minutes for all 6 of his points, and it's a 5-point lead for Team Black. Amari Carroll tried to answer on the other end, but falls short. I don't think Silver's going to foul here. Try to extend the game. 6-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock.
Yeah, foul might be prop out of the second row, back on the front row.
There he goes again.
One more time for Hamas. Oh, that would have gotten the fans off their feet. Off their seats, rather. Final seconds, Keldon Johnson. He'll get a shot off. That won't fall, and that'll do it.
Spurs
2019 Silver and Black Scrimmage presented by Cheerios.
Spurs
It's a win
win.
for Team Black, 74-69. And guys, we are less than 2 weeks away from the start of the Spurs season coming up against the Knicks, and
Can't wait.
certainly is going to be a very, very exciting start. And I think every NBA game this year is going to be something for everyone, no doubt about
this
it.
kind of whets the appetite, not only for the fans, but the broadcasters, right?
I am ready.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys coming up on October 23rd, and that is opening night against the New York Knicks, 7:30 here at the AT&T Center. Kicking off a 3-game homestand with a post-game concert at the Bud Light Courtyard by Kevin Fowler. Go to Spurs.com or the Spurs app to get your tickets today. That'll do it for the Silver and Black Scrimmage, 74-69. Black is your winner now for Sean Elliott, Bill Schoening, Matt Bonner, Bill Ladd, Paul Castro, Walter Stoops, Sam Walters up here in the booth. I'm Dan Weiss, thanking you for joining us. We'll see you opening night on the 23rd against the Knicks. Good night, everyone.